Hey, it's Webs here, and it's time to invest in a bakery so we can cook up some wins with Murloc Shaman. With the new support, Cookie the Cook and Brilliant Macaw, we can combine the synergies of Battlecry with Murlocs, allowing us to duplicate either our Murloc Battlecries, thus buffing them up even further than before, or duplicate a important Battlecry such as Instructor Flameheart in order to hope to get some type of answer for our opponent's board, or extra copies of Nothing Can Stop Us. For Mulligan's, investment opportunity is usually a great card to keep in your opening hand. Along with Perpetual Flame, this will allow you to deal with the aggro matchups that you might be dealing with. However, if you're dealing with a deck that doesn't play a lot of minions, do not consider keeping these two cards in your opening hand. Instead, you want to keep cards like Spawn Pool Forager, Cage Mat Custodian, or some other type of low-cost Battlecry Murloc. Also consider keeping Instructor Flameheart in your opening hand, as this will allow you to deal with a lot of boards that you normally wouldn't be able to, and this in combination with your Macaws or your Ulner will actually allow you to have more than one turn using the Battlecry, since this is such an explosive Battlecry to actually have in the deck. Cookie the Cook is probably the best turn replay that you can actually play by itself, just because it'll give you a sticky minion on board and a weapon if it does die. With that being said, let's get into the games. Alright, time for game one against Druid. Going to keep nothing here because none of those are good enough to actually keep in this matchup. So this is a game before I cut the caravans, I guess. So their quest line Druid, which is a shot. Well, let's try to put down the caravan, see what happens. They're going to coin out Feral Rage and kill our caravan. This does demonstrate the issues with the caravans as a card themselves. A card that's at the start of your turn is not going to be that good if it can't survive, you know? Well, let's try this again. They can't kill it 2 turns in a row, right? Oh look, a second Feral Rage. I guess they can. Alright, let's draw our weapon. I'm curious of why the gavel is the weapon that they decided for Battlecry. I wonder if there was a cut auctioneer legendary for Shaman. Here we're going to play a bunch of Murlocs and then buff them all up. Thankfully, Druid doesn't have an easy way to deal with them all. A broomstick, okay. They're going to play it out of order. That's kind of depressing. Get a reader, which is completely dead on this turn. Well, I guess not completely dead. We'll get at least one card off of it, which is better than each of the caravans ever did for us, you know? Drawing into a Tide Hunter, which is not terrible if they had some way to actually deal with our board. I'm curious why they keep playing the broomsticks out of order, trying to apprise vendor. Here we're just going to be able to do a bunch of damage with the Murlocs that we got. Trying to Instructor, which is great. Okay, a Dreaming Drapes they're going to copy. So I guess they're a weird merger between Taunt and questline. I guess that is the stereotypical way to run questline Druid, but still kind of awkward to use. I'm gonna grab the investment opportunities just so we can draw a card. By draw a card, I mean get an additional card off of the Instructor. Grabbing the spores for next turn, just in case. Sadly, we're 3 damage off of lethal. Shouldn't be really that big of an issue, but you never know. They might be able to armor up a shit ton, because they are questline. That's kind of scary, but don't know if that's enough, just because they don't have a way to duplicate their quest reward yet. Playing the spores is the correct answer here, just so we don't lose board presence. Drawing into an auction house gavel, which is fine. Not really that useful, but it's fine. Greybrow, which is a shock. And another taunt. Well, this is going to be annoying. Drawing into the Brilliant Macaw, This is going to be really funny here. Sure, it's just going to give us a random spell at first. That's fine. Then we get to start choosing. I'm going to grab the Torrent, kill the Drake, grab the Landslide, and then the Devolving Missiles, and we win. Was kind of hoping for another Lightning Bolt though. Alright, time for game 2 against Hunter. Going to mulligan the entire hand away because this is just terrible against Hunter. Drawing to a Gavel, Tidehunter, and a Macaw. This is better. Not much better, but it is better. Perpetual Flame, that's actually a pretty good draw against Hunter. Though I guess it does depend on what Hunter deck it is. They're going to play Initiate. Well, we're just going to Gavel them. Aim shot, okay. So they're probably just Face Hunter. And when I say probably just Face Hunter, they're probably just Face Hunter that really bricked. And when I say really bricked, I mean really bricked. Tracking, that's fine. A second Gavel, which is kind of funny. Piercing shot, that's absolutely fine. Drawing into the Custodian, which is at this point completely dead since we don't have any other weapons. Gonna try to draw one card, drawing into Bolnar, which really doesn't do much for us in this position, but hey, he exists, right? Well, this is kind of depressing for them, I guess. I'm curious of what minion they drew off of the Callion, though. It's just going to try to race us, I guess? Oh, I guess they're like King Crush OTK Hunter. That would be my guess. And we win. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss how well the deck did and why I built the deck the way I did. So the deck overall performed relatively alright. It's nothing too special. This deck definitely did go through a bunch of different iterations. I had more Murlocs in here originally, but I ended up cutting them down because some of the Murlocs were dead if you didn't have an additional Murloc on the board. So the Murlocs that have some type of Battlecry requiring another Murloc on the board were basically removed, those being the ones that do 2 damage and the one that gains +1/+1 if there is another Murloc. Now, I did end up keeping Felfin Navigator in the deck just because it seemed to be the best of all the possible battle cries that you would want to duplicate out of the Murlocs. That being said, I at first actually included Tiny Finn's Caravan to draw out some of the Murlocs. However, because it's the start of the turn, this card is really dead 90% of the time. You play it and then they instantly kill it. There's too much removal for this to actually be a good turn to play. And I really wish it had like maybe 1 more HP or just at the end of the turn. That would make it a lot better. I ended up replacing this with the Readers just because this is an end of the turn effect, and most of the time in this deck your hand is basically empty and you want to have some way to refill it. Vivid Spores was a card that I actually considered including in this deck. It's kind of like the composting for Aggro Druid. Instead of drawing additional cards, you're just making extra copies whenever they die. However, I didn't want to include a card that was a 4 cost, and if I was going to include this card, it would probably be over the Felfin Navigators, which means I'm removing even more Murlocs from the list, and I didn't want to do that. You could also consider including 1 copy of this over the Bolnar instead. Bolnar himself didn't actually really do anything during any of the games. He was included because A, I have a golden copy, so I like using it whenever I could. And B, in theory, this card would be really good because you have a bunch of cheap battle cries, so you could easily copy your Instructor or maybe even your Macaws, or your Felfin Navigators, you know. But in the end, the situation never came up, and he was honestly probably the most awkward card in the deck to use, and I would probably cut him out for something else. Maybe even a Doomhammer, so you could draw that off of your Cage Custodians. The MVPs of this deck were ironically not Murlocs at all. Brilliant Macaw and Instructor Flameheart are both excellent cards. These cards actually work really good together and honestly give you a lot more answers that you aren't running in the deck because you're playing a more aggro-based setup. Cookie the Cook, while as boring as he actually is, it's also a decent enough card. He just doesn't do anything special, to my dismay. Overall, I know some people have been wanting me to do Murloc Shaman for quite a while, and I wanted to wait till the mini set came out because I had a feeling Cookie the Cook would be an actual card. I didn't know if it would be his Cook form or his Captain form, or if there would be some other Murloc. But sadly, he didn't live up to my expectations overall. He doesn't really solve any of the issues the deck kind of had. The deck kind of is missing a win condition at this point. Sure, you can swarm the field with a bunch of Murlocs. However, that doesn't really do much when people can consistently get Mr. Smite on board and have a bunch of pirates and then just nuke you in one turn. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment down below. And until next time, bye bye.